For 99% of guys, the reason we started working out is to become attractive. We wanted to fix our insecurities, we wanted to finally get attention from women, and just overall feel better about ourselves. But why is it that almost all guys go through a phase or get stuck in a phase of actually becoming uglier than they were to begin with? And to understand this, we actually have to look and reflect on the main goal of going to the gym. When we first started, we wanted to go from probably a loser, probably a skinny, insecure dork, to some guy who is attractive. We all start the gym for attention and attraction, and working out appears to be the solution for long-standing insecurities to be resolved. But the problem becomes, most of us end up like this. Most of us end up going from skinny, going from weak, to going to fat and going to ugly. And although we've gained some muscle, we still feel like shit and we still look terrible, and we aren't getting the results that we're promised from the get-go, which was more attraction, more attention, all these positive things. So we end up feeling bad, and we even feel worse about our progress and the journey that we've actually embarked on and spent so much time committing to. And I experienced this exact problem as well, but it's when I fixed the issues and the problems that I was making, I finally was able to get real life results. And the first thing you have to understand on why this is happening to you and why the gym made you ugly is the simple truth. When you get into fitness, you are bombarded with so much random information: how to gain muscle, how to cut, how to bulk, how to look better, how to do this, the optimal exercises. Everything under the sun is given to you, and you watch so many different YouTube videos, so many different reels, every educational piece of content you can to try and better yourself. But the reality of it is, you never really gave a fuck about all this. You probably just wanted to stop being a loser and become appealing and get some attention and some attraction, right? So when you listen to guys on the internet like the professional bodybuilders, they're going to give you this advice and they're going to tell you all these different things, but realistically, it's not really appealing to our end goal, okay? Because chances are we wanted to end up something like this. We wanted to look attractive. We wanted to have a lean, aesthetic physique because that's what we knew was attractive, and that's what we knew what would get us the most benefits, okay? Because this is like the common beach physique, and I remember when I first started, I admired David Lade and I wanted to be like him, and that's because his physique was just globally recognized as attractive, okay? It wasn't this crazy bodybuilder physique that's completely like ready to step out on stage with 45 kilos of lean muscle tissue. No, it wasn't. It was just a simple beach body aesthetic lean V-type of physique. And that's why I'm telling you that when I listened to and followed the advice of most of the training advice, right, it kept me ugly, small, and bloated, okay? You can see here, you know, when you listen to guys like Jeff Nippard, now I'm not against these guys, by the way, I'm not against these science-based lifters and stuff like this, but in my opinion, for the goals that you and I are trying to achieve, guys who are underdogs, guys who just want to be seen, there's no real need to go to these extremes and become an ultra, you know, scientific based guy, because it's these guys that are using all this advice that usually step out on stage and usually go for the end tier, the really, you know, crazy limits of physique building, when you and I, we just wanted to be fucking sexy, okay? So when I followed these guys and their advice, I ended up actually looking like shit. I looked fat, I looked bloated, my progress stalled. You can see here, I look like shit, man. I look absolutely terrible. So no wonder like this was not getting me the attraction that I thought it would, okay? I was probably better off being a skinny dude. And that's because the goals and systems we need to achieve our desired results are not the same as other guys that are on the internet telling us what to do. So when I first started, you know, learning about bulking, and I would instantly go to, well, the people who I thought would be the best at bulking, and although they are, they simply do not meet the requirements that I did, okay? I ended up watching bodybuilders, like professional bodybuilders who were eating 6,000, 7,000 calories a day, sitting down to 10 different meals of chicken and rice and oats and all these different foods, and I thought that if I emulated this same strategy that I would gain progress quicker as well. But the brutal truth is, the thing that I realized was, it simply doesn't work like that, because these guys are pinning steroids in their ass. These guys are undergoing a different transformation than what I wanted to get to, okay? So there was no point in me eating fucking donuts, trying to speed up my progress by dirty bulking and eating a bunch of shit, because I thought that, you know, eating more fat meant more calories, meant more gains. And I didn't realize that there was actually a limit to building muscle. when there actually is. But for the guys I was watching, they seem to be just staying lean, gaining muscle, and looking better and better and bigger every time I saw them on the internet. And that's because of the fact that they, one, are on steroids, and two, they're not training for the same thing. So I made the mistake of dirty bulking, eating donuts, eating all these random hydrogenated oils and fats and shit that absolutely just fucked me up. When what I really should have done was simply to target outcomes that are universal. And what I mean by this is, instead of going for the bodybuilder physique and watching the bodybuilders and watching these big ass dudes because I thought they were the experts, I should have been watching people who actually appealed to what I was trying to go for. Because like I said, you are probably trying to go for an aesthetic lean physique that gets attraction from girls, that gets respect from guys, not this crazy outlandish monster physique, okay? And it was when I finally understood this and finally started targeting this outcome, which is when I got the results. You can see here, I was able to build a physique that was lean, had V-taper, and had a good amount of muscle, nothing insanely crazy, which is where I was finally able to get the results that I actually wanted, which was attraction from girls, because I was a loser. And chances are this is what you want yourself. By the way, if you want to learn how to do this, you can check the link in the description for my community. It runs through everything you need to know to take yourself from a loser to an attractive and aesthetic guy, no matter your starting position. And so, when you target this outcome, which in my case was this aesthetic physique that is recognized globally by women and is attractive to majority of the population in the world, not this crazy bodybuilder standard that is not that attractive to everybody at all. Most people are actually repulsed by it. When I actually started emulating strategies that would get me to the position of looking how I wanted to look and following the people who I wanted to look like, and specifically speaking, when I was doing this myself, going through the bulk, gaining muscle for the first time, and I was doing a dirty bulk and I was eating a heap of fats and a heap of different things, but I soon realized that I couldn't do what the bodybuilders were doing. A steep calorie surplus was not the best thing for me to do. I should have only been in a small calorie surplus because my body wasn't that efficient at building muscle, because I was natural. I wasn't on steroids and I was a beginner. And so I should have just been focusing on eating clean foods and focusing on a whole foods diet. What worked the best was not eating chicken and rice cakes and all these things. It was actually focusing on high animal fat consumption. And the reason this is because it allowed me to boost my testosterone and go from a position of being skinny, almost malnourished, eating really shit food for my whole life and having poor hormone function, to then eating a high animal fat diet with lots of cholesterol and lots of micronutrients, which was then able to help me optimize what I didn't have in the past. And I actually gained the ability to build muscle quicker, to maintain a better level of body fat distribution, and to stop having acne and to stop being super bloated and inflamed. Because it's when you follow the bodybuilder advice, it's when you follow the guys on the internet, they're going to eat whatever, they're going to tell you to do whatever, they're going to tell you to eat shit, they're going to tell you it doesn't matter, they're going to tell you macros are the only thing that counts. But realistically, it doesn't work like that, okay? Because you are somebody who can easily become addictive and easily become obsessive, and you're going to blow out your calories and you're just going to end up fat because you're going to try and speed up your progress. You want things fast, and that is a super bad mistake. You're only going to get the fastest results if you stay to a clean diet with a small surplus, so you don't have to go back and backtrack and cut off all the extra body fat and reduce your inflammation and fix all the weak points that you've created by following people that don't have the same goals as you. Other key mistake that I made, which made me ugly, and it's why most guys become ugly as well, despite building muscle, and it's what I like to call gym selling. And you've probably heard of this terminology before, okay? You can see here in this picture, I was flexing with protein powder in my hands. I'm dressed super weird. Basically, at this point in my life, all I cared about was the gym, okay? And this is not bad. Right now, I'm telling you that you should focus on the gym. If you're trying to build an aesthetic physique, if you're trying to change your life forever, building muscle and getting attractive is the biggest thing you can do and the largest needle moving activity. And it's what I recommend every single time to any guy who's insecure or trying to change his life. You should make it your sole priority in life. Grind in the gym, eat right, do all these things, track your lifts. However, do not make it your sole personality trait. The difference between being obsessed with the gym and training like your life depends on it and putting in the work to change your life, and then reflecting all aspects of that in your social life and as in your personality, okay? The brutal truth is, if you're a beginner, if you're starting out and you don't have that much muscle, if you start becoming overly obsessed with the gym in conversations, if you make everything about the gym when you're talking to people, if you completely obsess over it and become a weirdo who only knows how to talk about the gym, then it's kind of unattractive. If you have a good amount of muscle mass, if you're a professional bodybuilder, it's understandable. But if you're a loser, if you're a skinny, insecure dude trying to do this, you just make yourself more ugly, because being ugly is not just about the physical appearance, okay? It's also about how you interact socially. So if you have no social skills and you're making this weird, obsessive gym mindset your main personality trait, you're going to get repulsive looks, you're going to be seen as repulsive, and people aren't really going to want to talk to you, especially if you have this predisposition of not being super attractive and super jacked already. It also comes down to how you dress yourself as well, okay? Because in the beginning, you're probably going to be addicted to wearing stringers and wearing tanks and showing off all these marginal gains that you've made. And okay, this is fine, I did the same thing. But it was actually a mistake, and it actually made me appear unattractive and uglier because it made me seem like a tryhard, and you realistically don't want to be doing this, okay? So instead, you want to be opting for obviously making progress first and obviously getting some, muscle mass, and then using the muscle mass as an aid and using your gym obsession as an aid to your social life and your general appearance, okay? So you can notice the differences here in the clothing I wear now versus what I used to wear, okay? I used to wear stringers and shit in public, out in the street, but now I'm wearing stuff that is more subtle, okay? That's the main difference. It's a subtle flex. You need to build your physique up so that you can wear clothes that accentuate your physique, okay? And use style to aid the physique. But you don't want to come across as a complete tryhard, because that's going to make you seem ugly and repulsive. How do we do this? Well, it's to invest in a simple clothing style, okay? So once you gain a bit of muscle, if you want to emphasize and maximize your looks, okay, you get some slim fit shirts, you get some tank tops, you get some form accentuating clothing, so things that fit nice around the shoulders, around the chest, and things that make your V-tapers stand out and show that you're lean and attractive, okay? And you want to go for simple colors. Blacks, greys, neutral colors like whites, browns, things that aren't insanely stand out, okay? Because the more stand out you try and be, the more try hard you seem and the more repulsive you look, especially if you're not at an established advanced position already. When I addressed this myself, when I actually started dressing properly, and when I stopped being a complete gym cell and a tryhard and focused on building the physique that I actually knew I wanted in the first place, instead of following advice from other people who have different goals completely, that is when I was able to get the most success. That was when I was able to reverse the ugliness that I gained from going to the gym, even though I thought that going to the gym would cure me being ugly. I hope this gave you some insight on why building muscle is not just the only thing that matters here. You have to be focusing on your dream outcome, your target outcome, and also making sure you don't become a gym cell, because it's these two things that made me ugly. When I addressed them, that's when I finally got the real world benefits that I was looking for when I was a skinny, insecure loser trying to change his life forever. Check the community in the description if you're interested in learning how to build a physique for yourself and change your life forever. With that being said, remember that progress is purpose, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.